If you're in your 20s, my God, you have an opportunity to do something spectacular. If you're in 30s, you've established some wisdom, and now you got some story to tell. If you're 40, you're grabbing it. You're at that point where like fear's kicking in. I'm not far from 55, 65. I better get my butt in gear, and something's happening. If you're in your 50s, you're starting to move into an area of sage. You're starting to be a leader. Hopefully it's happened. If not, dig in and show all the people that are 50s that you can still get stinking fired up at 50 or 60. Why not?
Welcome back to the Man Maker Show. We are dedicated to helping men become stronger and more intentional leaders because the fight in every man's life is real and you were created to overcome. We know that hard times make better men, and through adversity, we find our inner warrior. Thanks for showing up and opening your mind in order to make your future greater than your past. Here's your host, Brad Wolgamott.
Welcome back to the Man Maker Show. Bradley Wolgamott coming to you once again. Hey, this is going to be part 2 to the previous message about building a brand, about building something greater than yourself that people want to follow. I think this is going to be a huge topic in the future for us to cover over and over from different angles. Because if you're going to lead people, if you're going to be a man maker, you've got to give people something to fight for. You've got to give people something to lay their life down. You've got to create something to where they're willing to change the way they live in order to accomplish something great. That's really what it's about. So welcome to the Man Maker Show. Glad you're here. Welcome back to part 2. I've got 10 keys tonight to cover with you on building your brand, building your name, creating your story, giving people something to follow. It's quite dense. I hope you'll get through it in my standard 25 minutes. Give me the grace to go for it, and hopefully this will make some sense to you. Because I really, really, really want you to make this part of what you're trying to do. Too many people are trying to lead with facts, right? They're trying to lead with numbers. And people can learn from numbers and stats and so forth, but they need something to follow, something greater than just making money, more than just material things. A lot of people try to lead with dreams of wealth and all these types of things, of money, the things they can buy. But frankly, I don't think it does it. I used to tell a story that years ago I was quite materialistic, and I had a dream of a Porsche, and it was a big dream of mine. I wanted to have a Porsche, and I was a kid, 18 years old, started my company. I drove a $400 1973 Army Green Mustang. I got in the passenger door because the driver's door did. Nobody slid across. The window was shattered. No one would follow me. I was nobody. But I wanted to be something great. I wanted to be part of something. And so I knew that I needed to build something that people wanted to gather around. It was a long journey. It was a marathon. It was going to take me a decade to get there. I needed something that stirred me to go the distance, more than just money. But I needed something greater than that. And I can remember when I got my first big financial bonus, if you will, and I bought this beautiful custom Porsche. It was Strosek, if you know that brand. It's out of Germany. It's a super modified Porsche Carrera C2, really low speedster, short windshield. It was purple. It was photographed in a magazine, front cover, sexiest car, and I was pretty proud of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can remember the time driving it and going, "This is so cool," but it didn't change my life. It didn't stir me. It was like, "Way to go, Brad! You did it." But it wasn't deep enough. I've never gotten out of my car and said, "Man, thanks." Have the car thank me for driving. Thank you for changing my oil. But I've had plenty of people say, "Thank you for your stories. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your commitment," because it inspired me to change my life. It was a story of becoming a better man, a better father, being a man of significance. It wasn't the cars and the homes and the airplanes. It was a story of being a greater man. And so I want to try to give you some tips to help you create this messaging. I also want to create these tips to get you off of the shallowness of just material things, because frankly, I just don't think they'll do it. They got me started, but they didn't sustain me. They got me going, but they didn't keep me going, right? I need something bigger than that. And that's when I started thinking about having a family and being a granddaddy someday, and hopefully being a leader of men around the world. And that big vision of creating a movement of people that were waking up to owning their own life, owning their own failures, and being humble about their success, and being able to communicate in a way that people said, I want to go with you. So the first tip I want to give you is you've got to be fiercely committed to your vision, right? It's got to be something that you're literally almost at a point where I want to lay my life down for this, right? I'm all in. And when I mean live out of my life, I don't mean die for it, but I mean die of self, right? To get over this thing for me, it had to be something greater than that. And I want you to get to a point where whatever that thing is that touches your heart, right? When I went to the Philippines and started working with groups over there, and I saw the poverty, I saw the homelessness, I saw the human rights violations, I got very, very committed to creating a global message that could hopefully help people free themselves from a lack of belief, right? I can remember asking young people in the Philippines, anong pangarap mo? What is your dream? And they would say, wala na, which is nothing. I would say, what do you mean? I mean, what are you talking about? I was born this way. I'll live this way. I'll die this way. And I could hear this scripture in my life saying, man without vision shall perish. I saw people perishing everywhere because they didn't have a dream that stirred them enough to change their life the way they lived. And when I got all in with this, when I got fiercely committed to it, and I was able to communicate in a way that all of a sudden people want to come with me. Then I found that the second key was you have to create a level of mutual respect, right? You want to be passionate about your vision, but you don't want to demand that from others, right? You want to suggest it, you want to encourage it, but if you demand it, you're not going to arrive where you want to get. You've got to be a level of mutual respect, meaning everybody's at a different stage. When I started, I just wanted a Porsche, right? I just wanted to pay my rent, right? I wanted to get out of my one-bedroom apartment with my $400 car, right? I mean, that was where it started. And people start at different levels. So show respect for people's beginnings, and then morph with them as they grow and develop and mature, and their vision changes, grow with it. But if you demand it too much and don't offer mutual respect, people they're going to get a little lost in it. They're going to go, I'm just fighting for your dream so you can have more. You need to be in that place. And so the third key for that is going to be learning to ask questions, right? Draw out people's pain. Draw out the pain point that they want to snap out of it. Maybe it's a family of brokenness or addictions or brokenness, or maybe it's they were told that they were never going to achieve something great, and they're afraid to try it because they're believing in that word spoken over them. Learn how to ask questions, right? Maybe they want to have a great marriage because they never saw it. Maybe they want to be able to be a man of influence because all the influence in their life had been corrupt or self-serving, and you wanted to be something different. Be willing to ask questions so you draw their story into yours, right? Your vision needs to be big enough to include all types, not all, because I mean that gets a little lost and you get into political correctness, but you want to draw in the like-minded people to come with you on this journey by asking questions and drawing them out. So the fourth key in that is once you get people to begin to buy into this, it's very important that you allow people to arrive at their own conclusions. If you are in a place where you're demanding it, or you're overt about them chasing your vision, or that you're somehow high and mighty. And I've seen this. I've been in experiences where it was like guilt-based motivation. Like, if you don't, you're a loser. You're not a man. You're not a father. You're not a mentor. You're never going to do anything. It was a fear-based. It was almost demanding people to be obsessed in the same things you're obsessed by. And frankly, that doesn't work. If they do come with you, it'll be short-term. It's what I call false harmony. They'll come with you for a while until the fear of failure wears off and they go back their own ways. It's got to be something that they move into, that they own, right? If not, you're going to come across like you think you're better, you're preachy or moralistic or something. You're just going to place yourself in an awkward position of you and them. And you really want a we, you want an us, you want people to be included. So it's very important that you allow people to arrive at their own vision, their own conclusions, not demanding it, just suggesting it, saying, I'm going, do you want to come with me? This will place you in a position to where people want to sacrifice for the greater good of what you're after. So, fifth key is you need to define who the hero is. You need something to point to. Now, more than likely, that's not you. I talked about that in the previous message. Eventually, it could be when people you're mentoring or leading in your organization. I'm sure Elon Musk has people in his company that point to him as the the epitome. He's the hero, right? Modern day Einstein, Edison, Da Vinci, Tesla. I'm sure there are people who placed him there. But when he started, he was just building PayPal, just trying to make some money. But his big vision was created in his youth when he'd sit in the backyard, look at the stars, and say, "Man, wouldn't it be great someday? Is it possible? Could we be a multi-planet species?" So he created PayPal to develop the idea of solar technology, and ultimately led to battery-operated cars to really fund SpaceX to eventually fulfill this desire of his, this greater vision of a multi-planet species and colonizing Mars, for crying out loud. I mean, no one's ever talked about that until him, that I'm aware of, at least in modern history. So you want to create a hero, right? And maybe create's the wrong word, but you want to tell a story about someone that's been there and done that, started on an ordinary day, right? One of my great mentors, Ron Perrier, right? He was a CPA working for a public utility, and he ended up leading an organization of tens of thousands of people around the world. Bill Britt was a city manager, former, I don't know what level he was in the military, but he led a small brigade of people or a small group of people, and I think they built bridges or something. But because of his efforts, he built this movement of which we could point to, like, here's a common man that started off with nothing. It's what endeared me to my mentor, Brad Duncan, who was, and still is, an amazing human being, but he was such a normal dude from Montana State, talking about drinking beer out of his boot in college, to a point where he was impacting thousands and thousands of lives around the world, leading an incredible family. It starts normal. But as a result of the grind, they become a hero. So in order to make that happen, the question you have to ask yourself, and I'll just call this the 6th point, is who are you going to serve? Or maybe a better way to put it, something stirs deeper, who are you going to rescue? Right? What's the damsel in distress, right? What's the part of this broken world, this broken society, right? We have so many hot topics today in our politically charged climate. Things to get behind, things that we see as social injustices, whether it be racial or economic or a variety of topics that are now really polarizing. But the idea is, in your message, you need to find a group of people that you're fighting for, that you're going to rescue. When I got involved in an investment recently, the big reason that drew me in is they were using all the profits to fund mothers around the world that were basically parts of human rights violations that they wanted to set free and economically put in a position to start a small business so they could achieve some freedom in their own lives. And I bought into that. I'm like, whoa, if I invest in this company, if I work this company, if I evangelize this company, maybe I can be a part of saving women's lives around the world, right? That stirred me, right? And so that's a very important thing. You got to find a group of people. And the Man Maker Show, to me, was birthed out of what I see as a catastrophe in men. That the men are being emasculated, they're being assassinated, they're being made fun of, they're being looked at dumb and bimbos and macho over the top or sexual over the top or silly or stupid. They're not leading, right? The the Bundys of the world, whatever his name was. I mean, just embarrassing of what the movie industry has made out of men, and that it irks me. And to a point where I want to build a message to where it's okay to be a strong, bold man, not an arrogant, egotistical, ball hog, but I'm talking about someone that really is interested in making the world a better place, a man maker. And that's my passion. That's why I get on this camera night after night, expose myself, and talk about all the stuff I've been through, my struggles, is because I'm just a dude that's been up and down and fallen apart and gotten back up and straightened myself off the ground and picked myself back up and found a ways. Just a normal dude, but you need to have that group of people that you're going to rescue. So identify it. All right. The 7th key is you need a wingman, right? And I think the best way to find a wingman is to be a wingman. And so I attached myself to faith men in my life that I said, I'm going to be their number one student. I wanted to be, this maybe sounds self-serving, but I think it worked for me, where I said I wanted to be a person that lived out the example of their teaching, right? Peter McKenna impacted my life dramatically, 15 years ago. He rescued me. He came to me and gave me a quest to be a better man, humbly coming before me, sharing his own failures with alcoholism in the early days of his life and the struggles with his boys, to tell me that, hey, man, this too shall pass. You can get back up. And so I wanted to be a wingman to that. I wanted to be an evangelist to that. So be a wingman and then find a wingman, right? Find that person that kind of unlocks the talents you don't have. There were several men in my life that came alongside me. One I can think of was a guy named Joe McGee. He was my dearest friend, and we met when we were 18 years old. We built businesses together. He built businesses apart, became very successful, but he was such a dynamic human being. He made me want to be a better man. When I met Shelly, I can remember calling one day and said, I'm going to be honest with you. You inspire me to be a better man, right? I want to learn to be a wingman. And then I found, like, Joe became a wingman to me, right? I won't mention a lot of names because, maybe that's not the best thing to do. But I can tell you that I recognize that I need that guy that I can run with, that dude that I can confess to and work through my stuff and grow together in a brotherhood. And I'll tell you that requires trust. It requires transparency. It requires courage, because if you get honest with some people, they could use it against you. And I've certainly had that happen in my own life. But it's worth the risk, because that deep brotherhood, that wingman, you may not have any strength. You may just lean on them, just leaning like a fence post, just to keep going. So if you don't create that kind of loyalty in a human being, you may not be able to sustain the everyday rigors and the challenges of building something significant. You need that. Be a wingman, find a wingman, okay? And then the eighth step is find your foe, right? Who's the bully that we're dealing with, right? Who are we fighting, right? Whatever that might happen to be, whether that be a spiritual sense, we're fighting the devil, or we're fighting woke politics, or we're fighting the emasculation of men, or we're fighting a variety of things in our education system. Whatever it is, who's the bully? Who's oppressing you or oppressing the people you love? And in a general sense, what I did was I realized that most people were a modern day slave to money. That money determined everything. And I wanted to set people free. So the foe was finances. The foe was the system. And I believe in capitalism, but the trap of capitalism is you get stuck in this grind and you never get out until you retire at 65, and then you're broke. Right? You just never get there. And you sacrifice everything. I think it was the Dalai Lama says that the thing that shocked him the most about men was that they will spend all of their health to generate wealth. And once they get it, they'll spend all of their wealth to recover their health. They will live like they are never going to die, and then they die having never truly ever lived. And that's a pretty profound statement, because I think a lot of us get stuck in that. And to me, that became the bully. The bully was the system that says, you can't be free. You can't get up. Unless you were born into money, you ain't going to change your life. The young man that I mentored in the Philippines said, I was born this way, I'll live this way, I'll die this way. It was heartbreaking for me to hear that people say that. I said, no. Yes, you might live in a country where it's very difficult and there's corruption, there's challenges, but I'm telling you, if there's a will, there is a way. You've got to find out how to dig into that will so you find the way. But it's not going to happen just overnight. It's going to be a grind. And you need to recognize that there is an enemy. Like it or not, put a chip on your shoulder if you have to get motivated to knock this bully off their pulpit that's trying to control your life and knock you around. It happens. It's real. And get some fire about it. I don't know about you, but when I was playing sports and someone would cheat me, or someone would, do something that was unethical, man, that fired me up. Right? When I had someone punk me about building my companies and make fun of me as a dreamer or whatever, oh my gosh, what makes you do that? Oh, brother, oh, well, good luck. Well, don't forget your friends when you're rich. That stuff just irked me. It irked me to a point where I got to work. Let the bully inspire you. Let the bully encourage you, challenge you, force you to be a stronger man. Learn how to beat that up emotionally and then overwhelm it with effort so that that bully no longer has any play in your life. In fact, you tell the story because you know most people around you are fighting a bully. And it's a disaster for most people if you let them win, but you don't have to let them win. It doesn't need to be that way, right? So the ninth step, I believe on the ninth, is make it fun, right? Learn to laugh and smile. I think I told this story before, but I can remember I was invited out to a little post-event dinner with about 20 people. And we were at a little coffee shop, and you sit at this big, huge table. And I was a nobody, but I just happened to slip in. And in fact, that night was a night where I had really failed and really struggled to get some success going in my business. I was really frustrated. And the guy that was kind of mentoring along says, "Come on, man, let's go. Come into this little extra night out thing with me." And I'm like, and I noticed how much fun they had. I was waiting for the nuggets, right? I was waiting for the teaching and the training and the techniques and all the little, shortcuts. And you know what I saw them do? Laugh and tell jokes. They just had fun. My good friend Don McKenna, right? He does trainings all over the world, and I've seen him many times where they end their big Zoom with hundreds of people around the world, and they have a dance party on Zoom. I noticed that in their communication channels, they're always dropping memes, funny ones. They make it fun. They laugh. They talk about their favorite movies, their favorite songs, their embarrassing things. He's not afraid to. I look at pictures even from his own wedding. He's doing something super goofy, and people love him because it's fun. Because if people aren't having fun, they're probably not going to go with you for a long time. They're probably not going to go the distance with you. It's a real deal. Make it fun, right? Now, some people go too far in that, where it's all fun and all goof off. And I've mentored a few guys where I'm like, bro, when are you going to really work hard? When are you going to show the sweat? When are you going to show the grind? When are you going to have your eyeballs falling out of your head because you pulled 2 or 3 back-to-back all-nighters out serving people, making impact? When are people going to see you grind? If all it is fun and goofing off, when are they going to dig in? I can remember teaching my young kids when we were building our national baseball team. I wanted to make it fun. Like snow days, I'd throw out divers, and they dive in the snow. And when it would rain muddy, we'd work on sliding down the hill and learn how to slide properly. It was fun. They were laughing and giggling, yet they were learning. They were learning how to slide, how to dive, how to enjoy the battle, if you will. Create games that I know a friend of mine who's building an app that gamifies every portion of the development of their business. So there's competition and it's fun. They gamify the work, and I love that concept. I'm not smart enough to build it. I've tried a couple times, but in long and short of it is learn how to laugh at yourself, allow people to be goofy, be giggly, but don't go to a point where it's just a big goof off session, because you're not going to get anything done if you just joke around. You got to have that balance, all right? And then the 10th thing that I'll share with you is be a panther, not a planner. Now that may sound silly. I read that a couple of years back, but to me it made sense. Jump, pounce, act, do something. Don't sit there and plan and plan and plan. One of my mentors used to say, most guys go out and hunt and they aim, 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 aim. For God's sakes, fire, right? Take some action, right? They plan and 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 they plan, but they don't pounce. Right? Be a savage when it comes to your work ethic. Be the hardest working, first to arrive, last to leave. Give it 100% all the time. Be all in. Be passionate. Don't forget the key to your message. Who's the damsel in distress? Who are you going to rescue, right? Who's the hero? Who's the wingman? What's the big cause? Who's the bully you're overcoming, right? Are you having a blast doing it? Are you showing them how to grind, to really work harder than they ever thought imaginable? I think back about, here's my typical day. I'd get up on Monday morning, I'd work until 6 o'clock, I'd jump my car, and I would drive 3 or 4 hours to do a business meeting of some sort. And I'd get back at 12 o'clock. Tuesday, I would drive to Portland and back. That was a 3.5 hour. Wednesday, I'd go to Eugene. That's a 5 hour drive. Thursday, Friday were kind of recovery. I'd do as much as I could locally. And then Saturday, Friday night, Saturday, I'd jump on a plane and go to a different part of the country and help different people. Saturday, Sunday, get back and do it again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was wiped out tired, but I'm going to tell you something. I recovered. It was worth it. The grind was real. It was hard. My skin was breaking out. I looked exhausted. People were wondering if I was having personal problems because I was putting everything I had into my mission of making the world a better place for my family and other people's families, setting them free, developing a legacy for their families. That stirred me. And I had to work hard to preserve that, keep it close. Take that action. Be a panther, not a planner. It's okay to plan. It's okay to have a structure. You got to have a big dream. You got to have goals that incrementally get you there. But if all you do is plan, I know some guys that have systemized their businesses and their business plans, and they got everything figured out except grind, hard work. So that's the shift I want you to make. Learn how to pounce, learn how to jump, learn how to make that move. Make your brand, make your message. A piece of it's got to be outwork the field. First to arrive, last to leave. Most enthusiastic, sitting in the front, taking notes, be an encourager, right? Be a wingman to a leader and be that person that basically personifies. If you do what this person teaches, you will succeed. So the leader has something to point to, and that be you, that you did everything they taught, and look at the success you've created. You were a wingman. Eventually, people will fall in that role with you. They want to be that wingman for you, and off you go, building thousands of people around the world that want to make an impact. Whatever kind of company, whatever kind of message, whatever kind of meeting, whether you're building a church, or you're building a big company, or you're building some kind of a marketing business, or you're building something on music. I mean, let's be honest, the music that we listen to has meaning. It has a message. It stirs us. What is it about that song? My wife and I have several songs that when we come on, we're like, stop, and we get close. We hold hands, and we look at each other with that look like, I'm so freaking blessed to be in a relationship with you. And we had that moment today, and a new song that we listen to all the time. It's about brown eyes and how much I love her and how blessed I am, and grateful that she loves God, grateful that she's not a party girl, grateful that she's willing to work hard and be tough and strong, yet at the same time be a supporter to me and play that role that helps me be safe, to take my armor off, to be a woman that allows me to be a man, to lead, to fail, to cry, to get back up, to go one more time. She is the wind underneath my wings. As goofy as that sounds, she's my wingman. Doesn't have to be a man. Could be a woman. But this is a big part of what we're trying to accomplish here. I'm convicted. If you want to be a man maker, you've got to be a storyteller. You've got to have a brand. You've got to have a message that is you. You own it. It's a big part of you. It resonates out of you. You impart it. It walks into the room before you do. Your professionalism, your cadence, your swagger, your passion, your commitment, all the little things that lead to, I want to be with that human being. Would you want to be with you, or would you be bored to death? Would you want to be with you, or would you be worked to death? Would you want to be with you, or would you feel oppressed? Would you want to be with you, or would you feel like you're not a part of it? You have to play that role with someone and then allow people the position to swing in that. Don't demand their loyalty. Don't demand their obedience. Don't demand that they have the same vision. Let them grow into that. Some people will and some people won't. Those that don't, they may go off and do something incredibly powerful. I know some people that I mentored early that didn't follow me for more than a few years but built $100 million companies. I mean, how incredible is that? Because they went out and took this fundamental skills that they learned early on from myself and some association and went out and did amazing things. That's what I want you to do. That's a man maker. If you're in your 20s, my God, you have an opportunity to do something spectacular. If you're in 30s, you've established some wisdom, and now you got some story to tell. If you're 40, you're grabbing it. You're at that point where, like, fear's kicking in. I'm not far from 55, 65. I better get my butt in gear, and something's happening. If you're in your 50s, you're starting to move into an area of sage. You're starting to be a leader. Hopefully it's happened. If not, dig in and show all the people that are 50s that you can still get stinking fired up at 50 or 60. Why not? My God, you look at Donald Trump. What is he, 70 something, 80 something? I don't even know. He ain't young anymore. And look at the millions of people that follow him because of his passion for America. Like him, dislike him. Yes, he's failed. Yes, he's made mistakes. Yes, he's done stupid things. But that man loves our country and wants to do something great. At least that's the message I received from him. And that's why I'm willing to follow him. That's why I'm willing to fight for him. This isn't a political statement. I'm just saying that's what stirred me, was that part of the message. You find yours, you share yours, and give people an opportunity to rally behind you. You be the flag carrier that people march behind, and eventually they'll carry their own flag. That's how you become a man maker. I love you. Keep going. Kicking butt. Bradley Wolgamott signing off. Man maker out.